You're listening to Freedom Talk Radio with your host Andy Peacher, live from the UK. Email us freedomtalkradio2013@gmail.com or visit us at freedomtalkradioonline.com.
Very warm welcome. It's Andy. We've got Tim from Canada. It's the 2Ps in the podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. London, UK and Ireland. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Hey, Andy. Thanks. Sorry. Lately we've been having problems, technical problems. I couldn't get my audio or my video to work, and now the audio is working, but the video isn't. So your gorgeous face is there for people to see, and my voice will have to do for now. Okay.
It's better than not being here, trust me. So what are we going to talk about tonight, Tim?
Yeah. This is a topic today. Credit goes to Patrick O'Connor for his brilliant geopolitical read on the global situation at present. I think he's closest as an analyst to getting it right. Professor Jang is pretty good, but not as good as Patrick O'Connor's analysis. I think it's spot on. So according to Patrick O'Connor, the Iran war is designed to build a new reserve currency, the birth of what is called the LNG dollar. And I guess Richard Medhurst is a good source for this. I think Patrick has relied heavily on his analysis. So Richard Medhurst's theory is this: the USA has undergone a profound structural transformation and it is now morphing into a lawless, aggressive pirate state based on a mafia protection racket. And it plans to terrorize its friends and neighbors for decades to come. You remember with 9/11, before that, Paul Wolfowitz authored the Project for a New American Century, that neocon fascist guy, Paul Wolfowitz. Yeah, well, basically that's what's going on, something akin to that. So America used to function as a kind of international police state that would, try to secure the peace, just to make sure the supply lines were operating and the petrodollar was in good hands and everything. So it would protect its vassal states. Now it uses strong arm tactics like the mafia. So, do you agree with that, Andy?
Well, may need a bit more evidence. You got any more evidence?
Yeah, of course. Medhurst's core thesis is that Washington has executed a highly coordinated multi-theater energy grab, that it was already planning for at least a decade. And this campaign leverages military conflicts, direct sabotage, invokes naval blockades to take care of business in certain global choke points like the Strait of Hormuz and the Strait of Malacca. And so by blocking shipping for China and possibly also Korea through the Strait of Malacca, there's a big problem. They're not getting the resources they need to run their industry. And that's going to force them in the long term to buy oil from the United States in petrodollars. The petrogas dollar, which is being called the LNG dollar. This campaign leverages military conflicts, direct sabotage, naval blockades, and corporate maneuvers to seize monopoly control over the world's oil and gas supply chains. The ultimate objective is to replace the now collapsing 1970s petrodollar with a far more resilient and insulated LNG dollar. By doing so, the USA aims to force worldwide trade back to the reserve LNG US dollar, to systematically dismantle the industrial competitiveness of Europe and Asia, and to physically crush the rising tide of multipolarity and de-dollarization spearheaded by the BRICS nations. That makes good sense, I think. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's making sense so far, especially with the shipping lanes, yeah.
Do you believe that in the twilight of the British Empire, the same sort of tactics were being used? I mean, I think of, for example, the Opium War and the opium trade in the Asian Far East, and, using strong arm tactics, gunboat diplomacy to force the Chinese hand in, I believe it was Nanking. Do you think that was pretty similar tactics on the part of the British?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's scary, isn't it? If we're being controlled all these years and we've not noticed it yet.
Well, I think what's worrying is if the British resorted to those kinds of strong arm tactics in the twilight of their empire, it would seem to suggest that America is now in its twilight years for its empire as well. And so what we have got to look at is what is going to replace the American empire. Now, many people think it's going to be China. I think it's worse. It's China on steroids. It's going to be the United Nations and its affiliate agencies exercising global governance, as they call it. I call it a totalitarian world government state with digital ID and a international surveillance system that will be like the Chinese surveillance state with what do they call it? Social credit system. The Chinese social credit system will go global. And so, whatever country you live in, you'll have a social credit score, which will determine what privileges you receive, whether you're even allowed to get on the internet, and so forth.
God, that don't sound very nice.
No, not indeed. It doesn't sound nice at all. But they're not nice, are they? The globalists.
It's bad enough having to rely on welfare, social welfare, but the credit system, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get me scared, man, because, right now I'm reliant upon social assistance, and I'm starting a new job, and I'm proud to say that I'm going to be serving the local organic farmers. So not only am I supporting sustainable development by having local farmers supply locally to consumers, but I'm also supporting organic farms no GMOs, no artificial fertilizers, no pesticides, none of that junk, no poison in our food. Good for them. God bless them. I want to support the local organic farming community. And so I'm going canvassing door to door to try to drum up business for the local farmers and supporting a company called NutraFarm, which represents all these local farmers. And even the domestic livestock are free range. So they get out, they get the sunshine, they get the exercise, they roam about, and they're healthy, the animals are healthy, and obviously they're going to be producing a healthy supply of meat. So I get commission if I sign up customers, so that'll help. And the wage is modest, but not too bad. So if I do 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, it won't be too bad, Andy.
Now, talking on that subject, I know it's going off track a little bit,
Yeah.
but I was watching a video last night, and our big supermarkets, Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, yeah, probably just them,
Yeah.
on Aldi and Lidl's,
Uh-huh.
they're selling chickens, that have been hooked together for years on end, and they don't get any proper grass, they don't get any movement, and it's so bad that recent investigations from the food police, I'll call them, the
Yeah.
authorities, that they're
Uh-huh.
basically poisoning us with chicken and eggs that have been so badly looked after. And there's even more. The biggest scandal recently in the last few days, even only Tesco's, the rest may be doing it. But when you go and buy something like a bit of meat, that the example was
Yes.
700 grams,
Yeah.
consumers were weighing them before they bought them, and there was only 550 grams. I know the difference isn't a lot of grams, but it's a principle. The package said so. Anyway, they went back to the supply chain. They went to different stores, and it was all the same. And the bad thing is, neither Tesco or the supplier was responsible. But at the same time, they're conning the public. Now, if they can do it with meat, they can do it with anything,
Indeed.
tins, bread, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it doesn't sound good. Well, I
So
don't know.
yeah, organic is good.
I don't know about you over there, but I know in Canada, a lot of the grocery stores aren't even serving real meat. No, I
Yeah,
can't. I
yeah, like I
can't.
said, I mean, the chicken's supposed to be chicken, but it's not always chicken. But yeah, I mean, the good people are trying to let you have plant-based meat, which is organic anyway. But yeah, I don't know if they're trying to pretend beef and chicken or pork is something else. They put in. Yeah, I don't know yet.
Well, I know that recently at the drop-in center here in Ottawa, they had a little picnic kind of deal, barbecue picnic, and they were serving hot dogs and hamburgers. And the fellow I was sitting with said, yeah, hamburgers are kind of tasty, but it's not real hamburger. It's not real meat. Oh, what is it? Oh, it's this synthetic. Well, it's not real meat. It's like a veggie burger essentially. And I said, really? Well, I'm okay with a veggie burger as long as it's not saturated with chemicals and all kinds of nanoparticles or some crap.
I'll,
As
I'll
long,
give you their I'll give you their con. I just remembered it, Tesco's in particular.
yeah,
It's UK law. Well, any supermarket, they
Yeah.
can say it's 100% British beef or
Uh-huh.
Canadian beef, even
Uh-huh.
though not even, say, 10%. What they're referring to is the cows
Uh-huh.
that they got that 10% beef from was 100% British. That's how they con you. So on the front of the label, 100% British beef or Aberdeen Angus steak. You think, oh, that's brilliant. But at the back, it says what's included is only 10% beef. So that's how they con you. They con you with your eyes.
Right, right, right. That makes sense. And that sounds exactly like the kind of sleazy tactics our governments and corporations would do. And since they're in cahoots with one another, with this stakeholder capitalism, and basically it's corporatism, which is another word for fascism, which is exactly what the Nazis practiced in World War II, corporatism. That's where we're at. We're back to corporatism.
Or social credit system, maybe.
Yeah. Well, anyway, wherever you look, whether it's our governments or our military, we're seeing international protection rackets. That's all we got.
Yep. Same with everything.
Really,
Whether it
it
be
is.
train travel or selling books, trying to sell books, whether it be the cinema ticket, whether it be anything, they're just trying to make a dollar out of people.
But anyway, we'll be eating bugs. We'll own nothing, but we'll be happy, okay?
Would be plenty of free wind around.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more methane gas, and so when people fart, as you say, there'll be a lot of wind about. So high world energy prices are no longer a threat to Wall Street. In fact, that's the objective. Drive up international oil prices and make everyone buy American. For the first time during a world energy shortage, the US dollar is strengthening rather than crashing. By generating artificial scarcity and instability abroad, the US ensures that energy prices skyrocket everywhere except inside the domestic US market. Why does it not skyrocket there? Because they're supplying their own oil to their consumers locally, and so there's not the huge markup in transportation, international shipping costs, and all of that. That promises to insulate the US economic circuit while extracting massive wartime windfalls from world consumers. Okay, so eliminating the LNG competition, especially from Europe and Qatar. The prototype for this strategy was executed in Europe during the Ukraine war. The US LNG was too expensive to compete with cheap piped Russian gas. By implementing sweeping sanctions and then physically attacking the Nord Stream pipelines, the US severed Europe from its primary energy source, turning the EU into a permanent captive client of US energy giants. So Exxon, Esso, probably Gulf, etc. So, however, because U.S. export infrastructure is capped, Washington realized It could not outproduce its global rivals, so to win the world market, it had to eliminate the competition. Under the cover of the war involving Iran, the US systematically targeted its two largest LNG competitors, that being Qatar and Australia. The Qatari elimination in March, Qatar was forced to declare force majeure, followed by highly synchronized military strikes on its massive Ras Laffan refinery hubs. Now, this analyst, Medhurst, that O'Connor is drawing a lot of his information from, dismisses claims that the Antichrist state of Israel acted alone, arguing the strike logistically required U.S. coordination, similar to the Ukraine requiring U.S. technology for guiding its missiles, right? This effectively sidelined Qatar, forcing its regime in Doha to cancel its lucrative long-term contracts with China and Europe. The Australian timing, simultaneously a severe cyclone, which can only in truth qualify as a weather warfare attack, knocked out half of Australia's LNG hubs. I don't know if you've heard of this weather warfare technology capability, Andy, but that's what was used in the Hurricane Katrina weather warfare attack. Now, why would it attack its own port city of New Orleans? Well, apparently it was to drive out the local population so that they could turn it into a luxury resort for the global elite. That's what I have read over the years, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I know they can control the weather,
Yeah.
bring on thunderstorms, bring on rain. I guess they can't bring on sunshine, but they can bring on all the bad stuff out the weather.
Yeah, I think several governments have that technology, not just the United States.
20 years ago, more or less, I don't know which, when I first met you on the
Yeah.
Ryan Talk Radio, was that advert. I'll always remember it. And it said, "Who's controlling the weather?" And, this guy was a blogger that can tell you who's controlling the weather. And that's a long time ago. So
Yeah.
advanced capabilities now. So
Indeed. So the pincer movement on the exact day when Qatar's LNG capacity was disabled, the EU implemented a pre-planned ban on Russian spot gas, with Russia, Qatar, and Australia crippled within a matter of days. World LNG prices soared by up to 143%, leaving desperate international buyers with no choice but to buy straight from the USA. Tactically, it's really quite brilliant. You got to hand it to them, but obviously there's going to be a backlash. Everyone's going to hate America, and ultimately there will be attempts by, no doubt, the BRICS nations to retaliate in some way. What do you think the retaliation would consist of, Andy?
you put me right on the spot there. I was trying to follow Patrick O'Carroll's blog that you're reading, so my brain was on something else.
Okay, well,
We can only guess, can't we? Really, we don't know for sure.
Not really, no. I think because the Chinese have tried to achieve a gold-backed currency, and perhaps other BRICS nations have done so as well, there may be some retaliatory currency war in the coming years, with gold-backed currencies basically being able to trump these U.S. petro-based currencies, which are basically a kind of Ponzi scheme in comparison to the more stable gold-backed currency. So the Mediterranean artery and corporate colonialism, with northern gas corridors permanently disabled, the USA and Israel are carving out a symmetrical replacement in the Levantine Basin, a massive untapped offshore gas field worth an estimated $500 billion US, located off the coasts of Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. So you can see why the Greater Israel Project is seeking a land grab of Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. You think of these strikes on Lebanon and you think, well, what did the Lebanese ever do to Israel? Why do they deserve this? And it's a resource grab. That's what's going on. They want to take those territories and, by extension, seize their offshore gas fields. That's what it looks like. So Medhurst claims military actions in Gaza were never truly about this counterterrorism. Indeed not. Hamas is just controlled opposition. Mossad just controls Hamas, so they have an excuse to go and genocide a bunch of Gazian citizens. I should say Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip. But anyway, but we're instead a resource grab. He points to UN Security Council Resolution 2803, which established a humanitarian board of peace for Gaza's reconstruction. He argues this board served as legal cover for a corporate bait and switch. The moment a ceasefire was discussed, U.S. energy giants Chevron signed a $35 billion gas deal to extract wealth from the Gaza Marine, featuring oil rigs on the board's corporate ads. Okay, Andy, you there?
Yes, still here.
Okay. I saw that you sent me some emails, so I was thinking, uh-oh, what's this about?
No, just the usual.
Okay. So the corporate blitzkrieg quickly expanded across the region. Syria, following the installation of a Washington-aligned regime in Damascus, U.S. Special Envoy Tom Barrack formalized a deal granting Chevron the ability to seize Syria's offshore wealth, piping it to Europe while leaving domestic Syrians to endure severe energy rationing. Greece and Cyprus. Chevron secured rapid subsequent deals in Greece and Cyprus, though through these corporate maneuvers, the U.S. military effectively serves as a private mercenary force for corporate America. Locking down Levantine ports to locals so that locals cannot access their own birthright, while building a new U.S. energy artery directly to Europe. Wow, this is amazing. I just can't get over how convincing this geopolitical argument seems to be, Andy.
And of course, if anybody wants to find more Patrick's work, he's on Henry Mako, makow.com. Yeah, he's very good insights. I used to publish a lot of his work, but he writes so much that I just can't keep up with him. He's a superpower of writing and knowledge.
Yeah, is he a former journalist? What's his background?
I don't think he is, but he's certainly passionate about helping people. He's not a writer, he's not a journalist, but well, he's obviously a writer now, but I don't know what his background is, to be fair. He doesn't have a bio on Henry Mako or nothing.
Okay. Well, interesting enough.
He probably just wants to keep a low profile.
Yeah, well, that's a safe bet and a good policy.